Hi everyone, we're on day 9, Mr. Terrupt, and we're reading about Anna. Danielle wasn't able to come to my first play date because of bad timing, but Jessica made it. We had a blast. Jessica's mom drove her over, but instead of dropping Jessica off and leaving, she came to our front door and accepted my mom's invitation for a cup of coffee. I was really glad. My mom never has anyone over, so it turned out to be her first play date too. Maybe she was done paying for her mistake now. I sure hope so. And since I was the mistake, I felt like it was my fault. I wanted to help her find a friend and a husband. After Jessica and her mom left, Mom pulled me into a hug. "Those are genuine people, Anna," she said. "You found a good friend there. You can get as close to her as you want." Mom's words made me smile. I hoped Danielle could come next time. I was sure Mom would think the same thing of her. Danielle. "Class meeting," Mr. Terrupt announced. This was one of my favorite times in the classroom. We all moved our desks out of the way and made a circle with our chairs. Everybody sat in the circle, even Mr. Terrupt. He held on to the microphone. It wasn't a real microphone, but we used it as our talking object. You can only speak when you have the microphone. I waited for Mr. Terrupt to get us started. "It looks like our chain should touch the floor soon, as long as you guys give me another great day or two," Mr. Terrupt said. The chain was our reward system. Mr. Terrupt had hung a single link from the ceiling on the first day of school, and he attached a link every time we had an outstanding day in our class. Our goal was to get the chain to touch the floor, at which point we'd earn a free day. "You've done super so far," Mr. Terrupt said, "so I'm wondering what you'd like to do for your free day." Mr. Terrupt passed the mic to his left. You didn't have to say anything if you didn't want to. Alexia passed it along to the next person. Ever since Mr. Terrupt had taken her out into the hall, she hadn't said anything. Luke was the first one to make a great suggestion. "Why can't we just have time to do whatever we want? It'd be like indoor recess, but we could plan it better and just have free time." "I like Luke's idea," Jeffrey piped up when he got the mic. "If it's free time, maybe James and Joey and Emily, or even the collaborative kids, could come up for a little bit, or if we wanted, some of us could go down there." "We could bring in games," Anna added, taking the mic. When it was my turn, I said, "I think we should do what everyone suggested for part of the day," I said, "but maybe we could go outside." Everyone cheered. It was weird having the other girls agree with me. If Alexia had been her old self, she would have controlled them, but now that Alexia was sidelined, all the girls got along much better. Not having girl wars didn't mean everything was perfect. I still had a problem, Anna. I hadn't gone to her play date because I'd been too chicken to ask my mom. I made up some excuse about being a bad weekend for my family. Jessica told me she had a really great time and that Anna's mom was super friendly. Now Anna asked us about coming over again. "Find out when it is a good time for your family and we'll plan the play date for then," Anna told me. I've got to mention it to my mom this time. I just have to. Mr. Terrupt was last to speak at the meeting. "I like what I've heard," he said. "We could plan for part of the day to be spent outside playing games. Then we'd get some fresh air. I'll think about it some more and let you know. But first, you need to earn the last link." "Meeting adjourned," he said. He always ends by saying that. I really like these meetings. The first time we had one, Mr. Terrupt told us that it was a way for everyone to have a voice. I didn't get it at first, but now I do. Peter. We finally earned a class reward. Or almost. I really hoped Mr. T would come through for us about going outside, so I shot my hand up as soon as class started the next day. "What is it now, Peter?" Mr. T said. "Have you thought about us going outside? The school rule says we can't go outside in the snow." We can go out on the blacktop, but it's too crowded and there's nothing to do." Everyone was quiet. They listened because they knew I was right. "Well, Peter, I like how you're thinking ahead. I did talk to Mrs. Williams, and she gave us a special permission to go out in the snow as long as everyone has snow pants and hats and gloves and boots." "She gave us special permission even after we all saw our underwear?" I said. "Yes," Mr. T said, trying to move us past the giggles that started. "Permission for the snow?" I asked again, just to make sure I had it right. "In the snow," Mr. T said. "The key being everyone needs to bring their stuff or else we can't go out." I couldn't believe it. When I went to bed that night, I had visions of snowballs dancing in my head. It was going to be the best class party ever. Jessica. Act 7, Scene 1. The class bubbled with energy. Mr. Tyrrupt had just attached the last link needed for our paper chain to touch the floor. The links were hard to come by with the likes of Peter and Alexia in our classroom, but we did it. "Congratulations, you've earned your free day," Mr. Tyrrupt said. "A class party day." Peter couldn't believe it. None of us could really, but Peter was beside himself. The only thing he could wrap his brain around was going outside to play in the snow. "Don't forget your snow stuff, California girl," he said to me. I didn't need reminding. It was all I could think about, but not because I was excited. Act 7, Scene 2. I raised my hand tentatively and waited for Mr. Tyrrupt to call on me. It was nearly time to go home, but I couldn't wait any longer. "You have a question, Jessica?" "Well, yeah, sort of. I have a problem. I don't have snow pants." "You don't need snow pants in California." Silence. It was like I sucked all the excitement out of the classroom with a gigantic vacuum hose. Peter glared at me. I couldn't look at him. Then I saw Luke raise his hand. Mr. Tyrrupt called on him. "Lukester." "I have a pair of snow pants Jessica can borrow. They're my sister's old ones." "That a baby, Lukester," Peter yipped. "Saved! Thanks, Lukester." "It's very nice of you," said Mr. Tyrrupt, looking in my direction. "I'm sure Jessica will take them." All I could do was nod. "Yes." Peter yelled, "This is going to be great." I thought so too, especially after Luke's generosity. I always thought Luke only cared about himself. Maybe I was wrong to prejudge him. Mr. Tyrrupt sat at his desk smiling. He reminded me of the old professor in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Did he know everything? Luke. 27 links. That's how many it took for the chain to hit the floor. I was wrong. I had estimated 26. Mr. Tyrrupt had us estimate the final number when we only had 5. Excuse me. Most everybody jotted down random guesses, but I took a ruler and measured the length of what we had and the length of each to reach the floor. The real problem was that the links were all different sizes, a variable I couldn't control. I averaged the links that were hanging and used that to help me come up with 26. "All right, gang," Mr. Tyrrupt said, 27 links. Let's see if anyone guessed that." He had all of our guesses stuffed in an empty coffee can. I was hoping to be the closest. Maybe nobody got it right. He pulled out our little scraps of paper one by one. 21. 30. Dollar word. 50. Everyone laughed except me. 23. Aha, he said. Here's one. 27. I lost. I can't believe I was wrong. And the winner is Anna. She must have guessed. There's no way she could have figured it out. Anna walked up to Mr. Tyrrupt with her head held high. At least the winner wasn't Peter or Alexia. "Congratulations, Anna," Mr. Tyrrupt said. He handed her a homework pass. She was all smiles. I didn't need one of those anyway. "Yay, Anna," Jessica said. "Way to go." "But wait," Mr. Tyrrupt said. There seems to be one more estimate that's correct. Must be Luke's, I heard someone whisper. Drum roll, please, Mr. Trupp said. And the second winner is Peter. No way, I screamed inside my head. Of course, Peter made a major production of walking to the front of the room and taking a dramatic bow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, he said. This is a great honor. Mr. Turrupt handed him a homework pass. Get out of here, he said. Everyone laughed, except for me. Peter flashed his homework pass in my face. The Elmer's sneakers didn't bother me, but this did. I felt hot. My face and my ears burned. I turned lobster red. I could feel it. I'm going to get even, I thought. The chain has touched the floor, Mr. Trupp announced. It's time for a free day. My colleagues, dollar word, and I were in for a treat. Mr. Turrup told us that we would be going outside. Great, I thought. But what's the catch? Was he going to tell us to bring our shovels, dollar word, to find out how many scoops it would take to clear the parking lot? Nope, just snow pants, hats, boots, mittens, dollar word. We had the okay from Mrs. Williams to play in the snow as long as everyone had the proper snow clothes. Jessica threw us the curveball, and boy, was it a bender. She didn't have snow pants. Talk about hitting us with the unexpected. So who comes to the rescue? Me. I had to. Plus, I liked Jessica. She was serious about school, and I didn't want to miss the chance to inoculate her, dollar word, Peter with a snowball. All right, boys and girls. Today's skill is figurative language, idiom. An idiom is an expression that means something different from its literal meaning. For example, raining cats and dogs is an idiom that means it's raining very fast and heavy. Look at the idioms shown. Draw a picture of the literal meaning of each and record the true meaning on the lines. So the first one is the afternoon flew by. You can draw a picture of that. You might want to draw a picture of a clock with the hands pointed to times that are in the afternoon. And then in the lines, I want you to put what it actually means. Okay? The next idiom is Jessica threw us a curveball. Draw a picture and put in the lines what the meaning is. It's been fun reading like this. It's kind of strange because the classroom is empty. I'm here at night, and I miss you guys. I hope you have a tremendous day, and please, please be on your best behavior for whoever's in there. And I miss you already, and I'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend.